how I learnt the handstand in under 3 months and how you can do the same yourself. Coming up. Right, what is cracking, my crew members of the Gaintrail Express? How you doing today? If you are not on board the Gaintrail Express though, you need to do so by subscribing to the channel and turn on post notifications, because if you want to discover what your own body is truly capable of achieving, then you've come to the right place. So make sure you hit that button and turn on that bell. Right, and just as a quick disclaimer, I do want to point out that I myself am still actually pretty new to handstands and still class myself as a beginner. So for anyone out there who maybe watch the video and be like, oh, he's not even that good at handstands, right, I'm not claiming I'm a pro in the first place, mate. Right, so I first began my handstand journey at the start of February this year, that being 2019, and I thought, you know, why not document a bit of my progress over on Instagram? By the way, I'll leave my Instagram down here, at JG_calisthenics, if you want to follow that out. Got some good content down there too. But anyway, first things first, I was actually quite surprised at how different and difficult it is to actually balance on your hands. You know, I tried a combination of everything. I tried, you know, just doing freestanding handstand attempts over and over again, and then I decided to quit that and purely do chest to wall handstands. But all in all, for me, the first month, it was, although I made some progress, it was a bit frustrating in the fact that, of course, ultimately I was trying to do too much too soon and trying to actually run before I could walk. So, you know, of course, I continued doing my research, and then in March, things began to click a little faster. So really it was based on, you know, I'd spend 10 minutes for every strength workout I did on freestanding handstand attempts. I did this by the wall simply for efficiency purposes, so I could spend as much time in the handstand as possible, rather than, you know, doing what I did before, just kicking up, falling back and forth, and not really getting anywhere. And after that, I would do some drills like chest to wall handstands and really focusing on being aware of how my body should be positioned through space when doing it freestanding. And then to finish things up, I did a supported L-sit to balance out the shoulders, because as I've been given advice before, of course, as we focus on handstands with our scapula constantly elevated, things like the L-sit where the scapula is depressed helps keep the shoulders balanced and healthy. And again, the whole intent of this kind of practice was the concept of, you know, practice makes permanent. So of course, with none of these exercises I trained to fatigue whatsoever. It was about doing everything as best as possible, as fresh as possible, to ingrain the proper motor patterns as fast as possible. I think the main reason why I may have made a bit more progress in this month was simply the fact that, again, I focused more on balance, coordination, body awareness, and ultimately breaking the skill down and focusing on each part separately, so that when I formed the whole sum again, everything else improved on its own, so that the whole thing together formed much nicer. So yeah, this is where we started to see some decent progress. And again, although it may not have been shown on social media all the time, every good handstand attempt was just after, you know, dozens if not hundreds of failed attempts beforehand, because that's simply the game that, you know, you gotta accept when you're trying to learn the handstand. So in April, it was actually crazy to look back and think like, yo, like my balance game is actually pretty good. It got to a point where, you know, I'd release myself from the wall and I'd just, you know, balance in a handstand for up to 20 seconds. Of course, not every time. And so yeah, I'd look back, I'd be very proud of my progress, but then, you know, there was one thing that was then holding me back. Because I hadn't practiced properly on the kick up, my kick up game was absolutely shocking. So that's where I had to overcome the obstacle of, you know, instead of, you know, kicking up to the wall and then releasing myself from the wall, I had to actually learn how to kick up without any assistance whatsoever. So, you know, it was a process of trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. And after, you know, hours of pressing tool from my shoulders and then pointing my toes as much as possible, to some extent, it began to click. Now, my handstand game is far from perfect, and my kick-up game is certainly pretty shy as well. But my point is, you know, if I myself can take a goal like the handstand and think like before it'd be like, oh, this would take me like 6 or even more months to achieve it, and then achieve it in over half the space of time, then, you know, what's stopping you from making similar, if not even better progress? Now, right now, as of this recording, I'm actually put the handstand on the back burner a bit, because now, instead of primarily focus on the handstand, I want to focus more on building strength for the upper body, mobility for the lower body, and then working on improving my work capacity and endurance by doing jump rope as well. But you know, I still want to give my good old buddy watching this video right now some tips on how to learn the handstand the smart way rather than the hard way. So I'd like to give you my top 10 best tips for learning the handstand. And one, of course, is the stronger the base, the easier everything is going to be. If you've got a very good base in strength in calisthenics as well as mobility, particularly in your shoulders and your thoracic spine, then the handstand just gonna be a lot easier to adapt to. Number two, more isn't always better. I personally found that actually doing handstand sessions 4 times a week rather than every single day really improved the quality of my sessions, because you know, it's great training and that, but of course we've actually got to have time to recover. Hence why I believe that when I actually allowed more time to recover and focus more on the quality of my sessions, that's how my progress excelled to a larger extent. Number 3, learn the requirements of the skill before actually doing it. So I'm talking about, you know, how your body should actually be positioned through space. Instead of just going straight into the handstand without knowing what you're doing, if you know how to position your shoulders over your hips, over your knees, over your ankles, you're going to make a lot more progress when you actually go into your handstand sessions with a clear game plan, knowing what you're doing. Number 4, action is your best feedback. The more you fail the handstand, the better you get at it, simply because, well, for me at least, every time I failed, either overbalanced or underbalanced, I simply got back up, picked myself up and said, like, right, Jake, what went wrong? How can I improve? And then I simply took that feedback and applied it to the next handstand set. Apply the feedback and just go from there. Number 5, the wall is going to be your best friend. Focus on building the skill rather than testing it. Number 6, which is similar to what I've already highlighted, but instead of seeing you know, all your falls and fails as failure, see it as feedback. Because simply the more mistakes you make with the handstand, the more you learn, and the more you apply from those mistakes, the better you're going to get over time. And change that mindset so that you see failure as feedback, the more you're going to improve in the long run. 7, progress is very non-linear, especially with something that is very skill oriented like the handstand itself. You're going to have absolutely fantastic training sessions, but at the same time you're also going to have training sessions that absolutely suck. Except that progress is non-linear and you're going to have much more enjoyment from doing your handstands. Number 8, that's a 7. Number 8, tension equals control. Now what I mean by that is, of course, for the shoulders, you want to press tall from the shoulders, and almost like you're trying to press towards your ears. Squeeze your glutes, tense your abs tight, and point those damn toes. The more control you've got over the handstand, the more stability you're going to have to, again, maintain a better balance and a longer hold time. Number 9, master your palms and fingers. So of course, I'm sure you've heard the tip. If you feel like you're overbalancing, you simply press more from your fingertips. And when you feel like you're underbalancing, you simply press more from your palms. For the majority, you want to actually keep more of the weight on your palms. But again, if you feel like you're losing balance on one side or the other, make sure to remember that tip, because that's how you're going to hold a much better handstand for a longer period of time. And number 10, just have fun with it. Despite all the fails, the falls that you may experience along the way, just embrace it, man. You don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great. And so yeah, that's about it really. I hope you enjoyed this video, my friend. If you enjoyed this video, you like my content, you enjoy watching every single minute, every single second of this video, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below that this video came with good hand to you. And in case you've been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks, I actually have a free ebook ready for you to download over at my website. If you haven't already, which is my new, fresh and updated version of the 5-step formula to infinite motivation. So if you want to discover and implement the strategies that I and my clients use to surpass our health and fitness goals, again, you can go to my website, download your free copy, and it's all yours for the taking. So that's enough for me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, my friend, and as a crew member of the Gain Strength Express, keep moving forward.